Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of NB8. We missed you. It's been a few weeks since we've all been together, myself and AJ Evans included. AJ, it's so good to see you again. Again, back from past couple of weeks we've been off, but we had a lot of NBA basketball to watch, and especially during the Christmas holidays. Perfect way to really encapsulate the holiday season. I know a lot of people were really excited that the Lions were playing on Christmas Day, but for me, Christmas will always be an NBA holiday. I mean, and especially this year around. I mean, we had so many good games to watch.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's trying to get in on the whole Christmas Day business, Phil, but it will.
They know everybody's at home watching their TVs right now. They're like, we got to do something.
Everybody's trying to get in on it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the MLB might try it. No, I'm just kidding.
Just extend the season, right? Yeah.
But no, this was an awesome Christmas Day slate. The games were so terrific. I thought the Cavaliers and the Knicks did a great job of kicking things off. They were spectacular. Really loved seeing Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland do their thing. And the rest of the games did not disappoint. You know, I think the only thing I'm hoping for, Phil, is that the Pistons get in on this action next year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're on the right trajectory to seeing a Pistons Christmas Day once again. And like you said, I mean, everything kicked off really well with that Cleveland-New York game. Again, just a 2-point victory for New York. They had to make that crazy comeback in the fourth quarter to do so. And then the night ended with an even crazier game, an overtime victory for the Denver Nuggets against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's a matchup that we think will be probably a playoff one. I think a lot of people are assuming that. And I think any of these matchups, I mean, even the San Antonio Spurs versus Oklahoma City Thunder game, San Antonio pulled away. They had kind of have OKC's number. But again, Christmas miracle, the Thunder lost a game. So I think we'll take that one. But yeah, no, just kind of what we've been saying. Great Christmas Day slate. And again, kind of extending into what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be a little bit different of a show just for everybody watching, just so we're kind of, inching and getting our way back into the normal routine here. A little bit of a shorter episode. We're mainly going to be focusing on the Detroit Pistons, who again have been are still tops of the East. We're going to be making sure we catch you up on all of the last games that we've missed. They have gone 7-3 over their last 10. Really quickly, want to go over all of those matchups for everybody, just so we're all on the same page. It began. We kind of previewed it. They were taking on the Dallas Mavericks. The Pistons, of course, winning ended up losing that game 116-114. AJ, I'm going to kind of blame this one on exhaustion on behalf of the Pistons, because that game had to go into overtime, and you kind of saw the Pistons just really running out of gas. They only scored 4 points in that one, and all of overtime, and that kind of led to the Dallas Mavericks taking a victory in that one.
Yeah, I started to get the sense, Phil, towards, I'd say, the end of December, maybe even at some point through, like, midway through the month. I started to feel like the Pistons were getting tired, and it just seemed like they were starting to lag. I think there were a lot of mental lapses, things that were beginning to creep in that were starting to sort of exacerbate that issue, and I think this game was indicative of that for sure.
Yeah, no, but again, they were able to kind of bounce back and get a win over the Charlotte Hornets, 112-86. 86, AJ. It's one thing if you can stop in today's NBA, no less. It's one thing if you could stop somebody from getting to triple digits, but to hold them under 90 points, and especially a Hornets team that had been scoring pretty high so far this season.
I mean, and this is, I really am a fan of so many of these guys on the Hornets, but it has been a rough year on every front. They've got a lot to work on. They've got a lot to figure out. But I've said this to people before. The same things that people are saying about Charlotte, people are saying about Detroit for a long time. So I do hope that they can figure it out and turn it around. It's just about having the right infrastructure in place. But yeah, it was a commanding win for the Pistons, and they did what they were supposed to do.
Definitely. Well, that kicked off a 3-game winning streak for the Pistons, and the next game actually kicked off a 5-game road trip for Detroit. They again began that road trip winning against the Portland Trailblazers 110-102. Important thing to note there that the Detroit actually missed 23 three-pointers in that game, but that's okay because Portland missed 25 of them. Both teams really struggling from the three-point line and from the free throw line as well. Both teams missing a combined 23 free throws as well. AJ, both those things are two things that you've kind of harped on a little bit so far this season, three-point shooting and the free throw shooting.
Yeah, I think, regardless of whatever happens this season, this Pistons team is not really going to live and die by the three. They have so many other things that they pride themselves on and they take responsibility for. And I understand it. When defense and interior scoring is the fabric of what you do, you might drift away from taking threes. So it'll be interesting to see how this just continues to work itself out. But regardless, though, you can't miss that many three-pointers if you're taking them. So I was just able to happy that they were able to get out unscathed.
Yeah, it was less to me about them missing that many. It was more so about, all right, after you've missed maybe 10 or 15 of them, go to the paint. Why are we settling for these threes anymore? Especially when we know it's something that they struggle with.
Yeah, for sure. But I think sometimes it has like an opposite effect. You start missing some and then you just begin to press a little bit. You might drift away from what makes you so good every night.
Yeah, no, definitely something to also keep in mind. And again, they were able to then win another game. The next game they took on the Sacramento Kings. They won 136 to 127. They escaped pretty good games from both DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook. It had me checking what year we were in, seeing both those guys go for. DeMar DeRozan at 37, he almost went for 40. Russell Westbrook almost went for 30 in that game. Pistons able to escape that one though.
Yeah, it was cool to see them come out with a win in that one, and also too, it was another sign to me that this Kings team is pretty talented, man.
Oh,
and
right.
I don't know if you remember, Phil, I had them making the playoffs. I think I had them finishing 8th in the West. So it's just been really sad to see what's gone on there and how they've fallen off of a cliff, really. They're at the bottom of the West. But, yeah, I was glad Detroit was able to come out with a victory in that one.
Absolutely. All right, well, things did take a pretty negative turn, though, for the next two games. The Pistons lost both of those. They, again, still on this road trip. So I think that, again, kind of plays into it. You were playing in a completely different time zone. You're away from your home, your family, all of that stuff. The home arena, your fans and everything like that. That does play into it. But again, you lost to the Utah Jazz 131 to 129. Keontae George, who, if you have not, for anybody that is maybe not as in depth with all of their wide NBA knowledge and maybe hasn't been following what the Utah Jazz are doing, Keontae George is a superstar in the making. I think if you've seen what he's been able to do so far this season, he's up there as one of the top guys for most improved this year, I think. But again, he put on a big performance, ended up leading the Jazz over the Pistons. I can't really say too much because my Grizzlies ended up losing to the Jazz as well, and the Nets. So again, I really can't really talk about much anything right now. But again, just are you worried at all knowing that they lost to a team like the Jazz who have been struggling a little bit?
Not necessarily, Phil. I think, like you said, you have to look at the time and everything surrounding this issue. This was right around the time of the holidays. Obviously, the team is on the West Coast. They're tired. I was already getting the sense that they were tired before they took this trip. I was just hoping that the West Coast would be a bit kinder to them. But no, I don't think so. This Jazz team is really talented. Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George, they've got a really nice group in place. And I'm a big fan of their head coach. I think they have a really terrific coaching staff. So I don't think their record is as indicative of how good they actually are. But nonetheless, it was still, I think, a bad loss for Detroit. There were so many things that they could have cleaned up in that game, and I thought those mental miscues really stockpiled in that one.
Definitely. Well, again, you got to think about it. They had all these issues, still only lost by 2. They had chances to win that game, so can't hang your head too long. Game, though, that maybe is, at least for my opinion, maybe not even as bad as that Jazz loss, even though they lost by a little bit more. The next game, the Pistons took on the LA Clippers. They lost 112 to 99, but, Kawhi Leonard, what can you say about this guy? He's been an all-league defender for so many years, and that's really the one thing that people know about him is his defense. But if he's scoring 55 points, which he did against the Pistons, you're probably not beating the Clippers. If he's able to do that, and James Harden is able to get 28 and add that to it, how if you're getting almost 90 points from two guys, you're probably winning that game.
Oh yeah, you most definitely are, and you should be.
Yes.
But Kawhi had a career high. He turned back the clock. It was phenomenal to see, but it was frustrating at the same time. I know it had to be maddening for everybody on the Pistons, but that was a big time game and a terrific performance for Kawhi. I'm glad he's been able to find a rhythm at this point in the year, but that was not a good loss at all. There have been some losses we've talked about where it's like, you can't worry about it too much. X, Y, and Z happened, but if a guy gives you 55, it says a lot about you and your defense, and I think this team has always, like I said, prided itself on how it does defensively. That's what they hang their hats on. That's what they do every single night. And in that game, that was not there.
Right. Sometimes it is just your night. We know how great this Pistons defense is, really at all stages of the court. So sometimes you just make all the shots that you take, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And you know what? Losing to the Clippers maybe isn't the worst thing, considering if the Clippers keep losing, OKC will eventually get a lottery pick from them. So maybe want to avoid that a little bit. We'll be talking about the Thunder coming up in just a little bit. They were able to bounce back, that being the Detroit Pistons. They stayed in LA, took on the Lakers, winning 128 to 106. Again, coming off of 2 losses. They've so far this season, they've only lost 9 games. So back-to-back losses, kind of a big deal, but they were able to, again, put that all behind them, which is something you want to see from a really good team like Detroit is, and they were able to put that behind them, get a 22-point win against a pretty good Lakers team as well.
Yeah, that was a nice bounce-back win. I thought it was a commanding victory for them out on the West Coast again, and Sasser had a terrific game. He had 19 points in that one. Him and Dennis Jenkins have been taking turns, man, and what they've been able to do off the bench and their like offensive output. Those guys are so terrific, and they've been very, very needed when Cade has gone out, or even when he's just inevitably needed a break. So it was good to see him do what he does.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, the fun didn't last too long, though, because then they went back home. They finally, the road trip is over. They're back in Detroit, but they have to take on the Miami Heat. Ended up losing that one, 118-112. Again, another forward, Norm Powell, who had a big night. He had 36 in that one. Is that maybe something to focus on a little bit as far as, Asar Thompson, we know how talented he is, but he's going to be kind of the guy to guard some of these guys.
For sure. And, Phil, maybe this is a bit more of a recency bias thing, because I think you could maybe make the same argument about the Clippers loss, but I felt in that Heat game, Miami just made a lot of really difficult shots. There were some shots with just such a high degree of difficulty that they were making with ease. And I think there were a handful of things that Detroit could have done. I felt like the game got away from them at times. And I think they're still struggling, Phil, like we've talked about, with the concept of playing a cohesive 4 quarters, not really drifting in and out of the game as you feel like it. But Norman Powell was terrific. They just made so many tough shots. I really couldn't be too upset about that loss ultimately.
Right. Yeah. No. And Norman Powell, another guy who, if he's hitting his shots, it's hard to turn off that microwave that he's got. I mean, if he sees that first 3 going, you're going to be in for a long night probably. There's a reason Miami wanted to bring him to town.
Yeah, and he's having a really big year, man.
Season,
he's been so impressive.
Well, you think about the Miami Heat. I mean, I don't think I picked them to make the playoffs. I don't know if you picked them to make the playoffs, but I mean, they've turned it around. I mean, you just got to think it's the Miami Heat way. They somehow figure it out eventually.
That is what they do.
Yeah, right. All right. So again, but we do have 2 more games to get to. The Pistons ended up winning both of them, and these games were huge because they were against some of the top teams that we think will be there at the end of the year, that being the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. First off, Detroit was able to beat Cleveland 114-110, back on the winning side of things, and against a division opponent as well in the Cavaliers. That's always a plus. But again, you mentioned him earlier, but Dennis Jenkins, man, a guy that I had no idea. If you told me, hey, what do you think of Dennis Jenkins back in October, even after that, maybe that first week, I was like, I don't know who Dennis Jenkins is. He has been such a bright spot for this team. So much fun to watch. He had 25 in this game, and Ron Holland, believe it or not, led everyone on both teams in rebounds with 10.
For sure. Yeah, Dennis Jenkins, I think the thing that I've been most impressed about is he's always ready to go.
Always.
He can sit on the bench for 3 games, and you put him in for 30 minutes the next night, and he's ready. He's ready. None of this has fazed him at all. And it's a testament to how composed he is and how much poise he has. I think Ron Holland has continued to just make his impact on a night-to-night basis. He's doing whatever's needed, whether it be defending, whether it's just running the fast break, whether it's rebounding. And that Cleveland win was another indicator of that. But that was a really good win for, I think, a team that really needed it. Like you said, it's a division opponent. You're in Cleveland. I thought Detroit really put a stamp on that. And also, too, that was a big win considering that Jalen Duren was out. So, people are wondering, where's the interior defense going to come from? Where's the rebounding going to come from? Where's the paint scoring going to come from? They were able to take care of things with still, I think, some trouble, but at the end of the day, they got out with a win.
Right. Well, and Cleveland's a top team in the league. So, again, a win against a top team is a win, no matter how you do it. So we'll take that. And then, again, a team that's probably even better than the Cavs right now, and a team that I'm so excited for the playoffs. I hope we get a matchup between them, that being the New York Knicks. If we get a repeat maybe of last year, maybe not in the first round. I think this is a conference finals matchup, I think, honestly. But the Pistons were able to beat the Knicks 121-90 last night right here on NBC. So if you were able to tune in and check that out, again, just a great game. First half was a lot more close than the second half was. The Detroit Pistons were able to kind of pull away in that. But again, these are 2 teams that I really hope we get to see in the playoffs. Whether it's the second round, first round, conference finals, whatever it takes, this needs to be a series playoffs that the NBA kind of maybe pushes towards a little bit.
Phil, man, I got to tell you, it's been so surreal seeing this, develop into a rivalry.
No,
Like the
right.
Detroit
It's not
Pistons
even
and
like
the Knicks,
two good teams against you. Like these teams kind of have a little bit of beef.
Yeah, it's been so cool, and it's like it's a national thing. Like people really know about it. It seems like people are invested in it. People are paying attention. They want to see it. It's been really cool to see. It's not something that I would have expected.
Right.
I think if you told me the Pistons would be here, I would have been pleasantly surprised. But if you would have said, yeah, there's also going to be this budding rivalry with the Knicks, and everybody's going to be really interested in it, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? So. Having said that, it's been really cool to see. Detroit obviously got a commanding win last night. Cade was spectacular, as he's been almost every night. Like you said, it was terrific to see, and I'm excited to see if this unfolds into a playoff series, because if these two teams meet in the conference finals or something like that, it will be a showdown.
Absolute cinema, I'm sure about that. And it's just the matchups, really. You just look at both teams. I mean, they match up so well against each other. Should be a good one. Hopefully, like we said, we get that for the playoffs. But they get a couple more games against each other. We'll get at least a taste of it during the regular season. AJ, real quick before we go, we got a big game coming up with the Pistons. They're taking on one of the only 9 teams to beat them so far this season, that being the Chicago Bulls, who have faltered a little bit in recent weeks after a really hot start. How are they able to, again, exact revenge on one of the teams that beat them and keep up this winning streak and just stay atop the East as long as they can?
Yeah, Phil, at the risk of sounding too redundant, I think taking care of the ball and eliminating those just simple mistakes. There have just been so many times where you just get the sense like their youth almost gets away from them, or it gets in the way of things. This is a team that's really good. I think they're becoming more and more aware of how good they can be, but that also comes at a price. You have to be extremely sharp. So I just really want to see them take care of the ball. As far as making threes and stuff, you can nitpick about that, but that's not this team's identity at this point. They're going to take shots. They'll make a few, probably not as many as the top teams around the league do, but it doesn't matter considering how well they defend and how much they score in the paint. So obviously, too, you're going to have to survive without Duran for a little while longer, so I want to see them continue to do that. And I also, too, enough cannot be said about what Isaiah Stewart is doing.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to see what he does against Chicago, but he has been tremendous. I'm making a claim right now, Phil. I think he has a case for winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Really?
Even though he's primarily come off the bench this season, I think he's been that good and that valuable.
No, valuable for sure. I think just we spend so much time talking about Detroit's defense and how that is like the catalyst and how that's able to get them to win all these games and kind of make this crazy rebuild. But it all really starts with, again, that front court of Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed even a little bit. I think you've got 3 guys that can hold down the paint, and then you can put them in any which way, any sort of formation. I mean, it all works out in favor of Detroit.
Absolutely, yeah. And Paul Reed has been ready to go.
My boy Paul Reed, I love Paul Reed, man.
He has embraced these extra minutes.
Absolutely.
And him and Isaiah Stewart, they're just 2 of the toughest guys in the NBA. You don't want to see them. No. Everybody's afraid of those
Definitely. Guys you want on your team, but you don't necessarily want to face off against.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, well, great stuff as always, AJ. Again, this is a little bit of a abridged episode of NBA, just as we kind of get back into the swing of things. We'll have a full episode for everybody coming out next week, as well as we, again, break down everything regarding the Pistons as well as the state of the NBA. So until then, we hope everybody has a great rest of their week. We'll see you next time right here on NB8.